the safest station in the nation. We're talking a little, oh my goodness, you know, do we talk about weather? Do we talk about news, or we just jump into what's going on in the freight market today? Yes, indeed, we're looking at it. And here we go. We've been talking fuel for a little while, right? The price of fuel, it's high, high, high. It's still high, although we've seen it come down to $5.58. And if you look at the last 30 days, fuel has came down from $5.85 to $5.58. Let me tell you something, that's news. That's good news for the independent contractor out there buying fuel. Heck, it's good news for all of us. It's less fuel surcharge that's getting paid on every load. It's less fuel that's being spent, and it's helping the consumers today. The lower they pay, you know, the lower that we're able to, the lower the fuel, the more money they're able to make and spend out there today. It's just important to make sure we understand that it's still $5.58 a gallon, right? If we go back a year, here's where we were, here's where we are. $5.58, it really does hurt. Hey, we're going to keep going though. What else is going on? Well, here we go. We have the dry van sector right now on the spot market pricing. Again, let's look at the last 6 months. 6 months ago, we were on our downward spiral. We had just begun, and here it goes. $2.82 a mile today. That includes that fuel surcharge, okay? We started up here at $3.75, today $2.82, with fuel about, call it 60 cents a mile difference in fuel. So this number of $2.82, hey, it's really deflated right now. It's tough out there on that spot market. Want to make sure we see that. I wanted to show you this graph as well. We talk about the spot market, we talk about contracted rates, right? Contracted rates, spot market. When carriers don't accept their contracted rates, it goes to the spot market. When a lot of freight goes to the spot market, it creates an increase in that price. Here's one thing, right? We've been talking about the amount of freight that's being rejected today. Just not a lot of freight being rejected. 7.5%, and I'll show you that in a second, as opposed to a year ago, 8 months ago, 9 months ago, 10 months ago, heck, 6 months ago, when those rejections were pushing closer to that 20% mark. Okay, 20% of 16,000 loads created a huge bubble for rates for that spot market. Well, this green you see right here, these are the contracted rates today. This is where we're seeing the rates falling. So you see the rates falling there in that 325 mark on the contracted side. You see the rates on the spot market to the carriers at $2.82 a mile. When you see that difference right there, when you go back and you look at that big difference, I'm going to break it back into here again. Let's go to the 3 month. When you look at the difference, I just lost everything here. Hold on a second. There we go. When you look at the difference in here, the reason you see less freight being rejected is because anybody who has that contracted rate, whether it be a broker, whether it be a large carrier, a medium-sized carrier, they're taking all that freight, especially if they have the ability to broker it, and they're brokering it down here. Whether they have a truck or not today, it really doesn't matter, because they're taking freight at $325, selling it at $282. When you see that gap in there, that, my friends, is called margin. They're making additional money, taking the freight up here, selling it down here, and that is why when you look at the market, you're going to see this number right here, 7.15. Very little freight being rejected today. Again, we go back a year ago. A year ago when all that freight was being rejected because there was all of this freight being shipped out. The contracted rates were here. The spot market rates were here. You saw those rejections over 20%, north of 20. Well, today it's at 7.15. And again, I tell you the reason why it's at 7.15 and why it's going to continue to stay at that market is this right here. The carriers with the trailers, the carriers with the contracted rates. those carriers are the one that are going to continue to take that freight at this rate, selling it down here, again, creating that margin. We look at the volume, and the volume always plays a big role in what we see today. Go back a year ago, just to look at it for the heck of it, we were at, see here, come on baby, here we go. A year ago, we were pushing up here north of 15 at 16,000. You saw the dips, these are holidays, who cares? And then you saw the war happen, right? You saw inflation really kick in. You saw fuel come into play, created that downturn of freight, but it has stabilized. And what we want it to do is hang out at that 12,500 mark. We don't want it to go down much further than this, certainly not south of 12,000. As long as we're here in north, it's not that bad. That means there's freight for all the carriers out there. Maybe not the spot market carriers, but those carriers that take the freight, those larger carriers, they're going to stay busy at that. And again, I'm going to go and show you, when we talk volume, never in the history, and again, the history is short because the data hasn't been that good until about 5 years ago. But you look at the freight volume in general, and you see this down here. You see where we are sitting right here. Well, forever, that's where we were. Today, we're still 25% higher than the higher average of what we used to be typically. Heck, if you look at it, right before COVID hit, we were just at that point where we were talking about the market, how the economy had turned around, everything was going right, and then COVID hit and it shrunk down. Folks, we're at that exact same volume today. The height of what we've seen in a long time, many years. Freight's out there. It's strong. What is just the difference is that price of fuel. And again, how you manage through that is going to be a tough battle. We're waiting for the used truck pricing come out from ACT. That's going to be interesting to see as we see the decline of those used trucks. Unfortunately for many of you out there, for a lot of you, because we had over 100,000 new carriers enter into that market last year when it was a great market. It's still a great market. Unfortunately, you bought trucks at the highest level in the history. Okay, and I'm not talking since we've had data, I'm telling you in the history. All the way up until March, you paid it, and in March it peaked out. If you bought that truck in March, odds are you're going to struggle to make it through this next 6 months. If you bought a truck in last August, you're in the same boat. You're going to have some struggles because you paid a lot for a truck, insurance is up, equipment is up, maintenance up, and downtime is real. You're going to have to get creative. Perhaps, again, lease on to a company that can give you some of those discounts. Freight's fine. Okay, it's not down. It's just down compared to last year. Historically, we would have craved, we would have died for these kind of days that we're seeing right now, historically. Even on the rate structure, it's better than it's been. Unfortunately, we have high fuel. That's the kicker that's hurting a lot of people out there today. Large company, especially the independent contractors, just hurting. We heard it in Iowa. It's hitting them in their pocketbooks, and it's affecting how they're going to make money. They're worried about it. We've got to continue to see this fuel getting pushed down. We're coming back with Double Check. Dale, we're talking safety, all next.
This segment has been brought to you by Utility ProWear. Utility ProWear manufactures high-quality, ANSI certified, high visibility apparel for both men and women. Infused with the Teflon fabric protector, Utility ProWear gives you the added benefit of providing a barrier to liquids, dirt, and grime, keeping you cleaner longer, brighter longer, and therefore safer longer. Get your high visibility apparel by going to utilityproware.com. Use the code BCB20 at checkout for an exclusive discount.
All right, welcome back to BCB Live. It's the safest station in the nation. and we're talking safety, and that's why you tune in. You don't tune in for comedy. You don't turn in for anything else. You tune in because you want to know from Dale, from Double Check, what can we do to be a little safer?
Well, we can drive smart, and SMART is the acronym, and this week we're just going to break it down letter by letter. It started with S, scan, which is really about getting that big picture out there, seeing what's going on around you. Today, it's measure the risk, and so as we scan, we're taking in all those hazards that are out there, and we got to start putting them in some sort of order. Is this one real? Is the kid with the ball, is that more of a hazard than the car coming at us in the other lane? And so we just have to scan, get all the things, that big picture, and then start putting it in order and making sure that, as we continue down the road, that we're scanning ahead and just continuously reordering that so we know what the hazards are and we know which ones are the most real or the ones that are most likely to happen and what our reactions are going to be. So, it's just measure your risk, folks. Know what they are, measure them, and then put them in an order.
All right, love that part. And we've got to use these acronyms such as GOAL, right?
Yep.
We use them to help us out. SMART, scan, look around you, what's going on. It doesn't mean scan your bill of lading while you're driving. It doesn't mean anything like that. It means to look at that area. Great point on that. We got any videos today?
I think we have some videos to look at.
All right. Video 1, here we go. All right, looks like we're driving up. We're a little close, a second behind the vehicle in front of us.
Yep.
Not a lot of outs here as well, Dale, is what I see, is that you got a wall next to you, you have traffic to your right of you, you're just too close and you can't see what's in the vehicle in front of you.
Yep, you're absolutely right, Rick. You said it, don't see a lot of outs there, and that's really the thing. We talk so often about the out is that space between you and the vehicle in front of you. And when you're less than a second or right at a second, that's really not an out. That's just an accident waiting to happen if that vehicle has to stop or something else happens in front of us. And to your point, you don't have that big picture. Now you can't see it, so you really don't know what's going on. You're kind of, in effect, driving a little blind right there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt, you're driving blind, and you don't want to do that. You've got to see. You don't know what could possibly be in front of that truck. Heck, that tire that we see, that gator on the very end, if that's in the middle, maybe the truck reacts a little different, stops on the sudden, and all of a sudden now maybe that's the time you're looking down for a second, right? Maybe you've got a text, and whether you're supposed to look at it or not, you take a look at it, and a second later, you're in the back end of a truck in front of you.
Yep. What if that gator just come off in the vehicle in front of one we can't see? Now that vehicle is stopping, braking, doing something, and boom, right there we are. So you just got to have that space. Just got to recognize it and back out.
Space. Get the space. Watch the speed. Your speed, you may look at, but heck, you're still speeding here, right? It looks like it's 65 is the speed limit. You're going 69 right now. It's never okay to speed.
No.
You don't speed. You stop at stop signs. And for Christ's sake, you don't keep following so close. You just don't.
Yeah, you just got to recognize it and then create it. Like I said, we've been out there, so many of these drivers have been out there so long, they think, well, I've always done it this way.
Yeah.
Hey, there's new technologies. There's new ways of measuring. There's new coaching. Let's listen. Let's learn. Let's embrace it.
Yep, we always change this channel back in the day by getting up and turning the channel. Today we use remotes. We use, that technology, voice commands, and here it is the same way. You may not have done that in the past, but you know what? You have technology today to help you out. And if your technology, and maybe you can't afford it, maybe you're a small carrier, you're like, Sir Rick, I can't afford technology. Can you count?
1001.
Can you count?
There you go.
That's all I got to say. Give me another video.
Oh, I think we said stop means stop.
It's even
it's flashing. Folks, stop means stop. It doesn't matter if it's in the middle of the night, if it's in a remote area, or if you don't think you see anything. It's the law, and if you don't stop, you don't get that big picture. You don't have time to scan and search.
Stop-ish is not the same as stop.
No.
You've got to stop. I mean, here's how again, I'm going to keep saying this because I've done this, all right? So I can tell you, as a four-wheeler who drives around with stop signs, I have now learned, and a habit's been created, I stop at stop signs. It seems odd, but you know how you know you stop? When you're not moving.
Yeah, there you go.
That's how you know. You're like, no, you just stop. And let me tell you, when you stop, you really do know the difference between stopping and stop-ish because you don't question it.
No, and when you stop, I mean, the view just looks different when you're stopped and you're looking both directions than when you're rolling. You just have that time to get the full picture, the full view of what's going on around you.
Yeah, when I see a stop sign with lights around it, you know what, if ever you want to stop at a stop sign, it's that one. Yeah. It's the stop sign with the Christmas lights around it because people have not stopped there before and bad things probably happen.
Absolutely.
If ever you want to just start at some stop signs, you start at the ones that are a stop sign with Christmas lights around them because they're saying, hey, stop here because bad things have happened.
Yeah, rumble bars, flashing lights, Christmas lights. Things have happened at those intersections. They're trying to let you know, hey, folks, this stop sign's real. They're all real, but this one, something's happened here to, justify it being there.
Oh, man, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Stop Sign. You know what? Stop! Next video. All right, nothing appears wrong with this one. I'm going 70 into 70. Plenty of room ahead of me. A little, four-wheeler, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me, four-wheeler. Give me my respect. Respect me.
And it was so last second. If he'd have just stayed in line behind it, he gained absolutely nothing. And we talk about that so often, Rick, when we see people following too close or rolling a stop sign. Well, I'm gaining time. You're not gaining time. All you're doing is putting yourself and others at risk. And so just, do the right thing. Keep that space. It's silly four-wheeler has to do stuff like that. Just be aware of what's going on.
Great job to the truck driver. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Next one.
This is another great one. Here's, talk about seeing that big picture, seeing what's happening, measuring your risk and everything. The driver did exactly that in this video. Sees this car starting to move a little bit, and right there he starts braking, realizing that, hey, that car's going to jump out in front of me. Great job of recognizing, measuring it, and taking that action.
Driving what appears to be 46. Is that a 60-mile-an-hour speed zone? Is that what that is?
That's what it says.
So here we go. So you're driving 46 in a 60. The big truck, you know what? They're coming across intersections, and sometimes on these farm-to-market roads, these side roads, there's intersections all over the place. You know what? I love the fact that they're driving under the speed limit, that they're waiting for the craziness to happen, because this driver right here, let me tell you something, they know that intersections are dangerous. Yep. And they aren't taking a chance. They're making sure, double check, they've got time to stop because they don't trust those four-wheelers, those C-grade drivers, that Class C. They're saying, you know what? I'm the pro. I'm the expert. I'm the one that makes it happen out here.
Yep, and the driver does. And I'm just so happy to show videos like this because it just goes to show paying attention. And you think about this, you look at this, and he's obviously not distracted, Rick. Let's play the what-if game. What if he's distracted? What if he looks down a second before this happens? So just goes to show how important staying focused is, not letting yourself get distracted.
Yeah, and even, let's just say that he's doing what you're saying and or he hits the vehicle in front of you. You know what? Odds are the vehicle in front shouldn't have gone out there. Yep. But what we want to do is protect accidents.
Yep.
What we want to do is protect life. What we want to do is make that decision to not allow ourselves to get into an unsafe situation.
Yeah, not who's at fault, but was it preventable? What could I have done to prevent it?
Absolutely. Next one. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, we could back a little bit. Get off, back up a little bit more. Oh, it's
just doesn't quite do it, And one of the things that I notice about this, we talk about these pickups are people pulling trailers and probably not always having the most experience with it. Are the brakes good on it? Are they paying attention? Because he's a businessman. Hey, where's my next appointment at? And so we just really got to make sure we have the space that out there, get away from them, back off. And, I think the speed's pretty good here. We're a couple miles under. So it just goes to show, even if we're a couple miles underneath the speed limit, doesn't mean our space is automatically correct.
Yep, and when we see these videos, I know what we're trying to do. We're trying to get eventually past the big truck up there on the right is what it appears to be. We have a couple vehicles in front of us that aren't quite there yet. All we need you to do is back off a little bit more. Keep it in that cruise control. You haven't lost any speed, right? Your following distance has just been increased, which allows you, if something were to happen, to really react the right way. Because unfortunately, you go to the left, you're going to go through those wires and onto oncoming traffic. That's not what you want.
No.
You know, you want to be able to maintain and stop with that distance in front of you. If you know it takes you a second to react to get that time down, then you know you're just a little too close.
Yep. And it's going to be, you know, again, we're talking about following distance, and 0.8 is just too close. And I think we're starting to see, we slow down a little bit, and we start to see the space increase. And so it does not take very many miles an hour. It doesn't take very long for that space to start to increase. Once we slow down a little bit, we just got to recognize it. We just have to slow down. We have to take that action. And sometimes that's the hardest thing, because thinking, oh, he's going to get away. He'll speed up if I get closer. That's not the right way. That's not the right train of thought. We just have to be the ones to recognize and then back off a little bit.
Yeah, and on this video here, towards the end of it, looks like there's some orange, so perhaps there's some kind of workers ahead, construction ahead. We don't know, but what we do know is this, is that you're following a vehicle just a little too close. Now, sometimes your rationale can be, well, but Sir Rick, and double check, I'm going under the speed limit.
Yeah.
The speed limit's 75. What more do you want from me?
I want you to increase the space. I want you to increase the space. That's what I want.
We need more space. You've got to have more space. We're not asking you to go any faster. You know what? Maybe you're an owner-operator. You're driving right now, and I love your speed because you're going a great speed that's going to give you a better fuel economy.
Yep.
Here's what I'm telling you to do. I'm asking you to back off a couple of seconds, put it back on cruise, and you're not going to ever gain on the vehicle in front of you. You're going to stay the same distance away, but it's proper distance. You're not going to lose any speed.
Yep.
Follow that. You know what, owner-operator, if that's you doing this, hey, kudos on going under the speed limit, because 75 at 5.65 a gallon doesn't equate to profit. You've got to back it up. You got to do what you can to maximize your dollars. I love your speed. I just want you to get a little bit more space.
Yep. Hey, you know, Rick, today's tip was measure your risk. And so let's measure a few here. We have a merge point, so that's a risk. Not real a lot because we don't see vehicles coming on. We're following too close. That's a risk. We're seeing those orange signs. That means we may have constructions. We're going to need to back up. And so just big picture and measure those risks and think about it and back off.
Yep.
We got last one.
All right. I can tell you this, it's too close.
Yeah.
I don't need to see much more.
And if I change lanes,
65.
And if I change lanes, I'm still too close.
Yeah.
And so we just have to back off. That's just what we have to do here.
We see 0.6 on here. I mean, that doesn't give you, if something happens in front of this Walmart vehicle, and maybe you're thinking, it's a Walmart, they are the safest drivers. Well, you know what? Then be like them if they're the safest one. It's a Walmart. You don't know what's going on in front of that. You don't know who's pulling that Walmart trailer. It could be a thief for all you know. You're following somebody that you have no idea who it is, and you're a half a second behind.
And you get that tunnel vision right now, because really all I can see is the star on the back of that Walmart trailer.
I mean, if you're going to do this, and again, maybe your thought process is, you know what, I need to go 65. I'm going to say go 65, back off this truck, because that's what you're driving between 63 and 65. Give him a couple of seconds. Give him 3 seconds, put it back on cruise, and continue to drive 63. You'll never gain on the vehicle, and you'll have the proper spacing.
Yeah. But Sir Rick, I'm going uphill. I don't want to lose that speed. You just got to back off and get into it. Today's engines have so much more torque and everything. You don't lose the time you're proceeding.
And guess what? If something happens to that truck ahead of you, you're not getting up the hill anyway. You do not have enough time to react. That's not what you have. You can't do that. You've got to, in your heart, know that you're doing that and use the technology. I can see that technology right there. It's visible for me to see, which means it's talking to you. It's letting you know that, brother, sister, you are too close. Back up, and you got to back up.
Yeah. And if you don't believe the technology, count it out, because I guarantee you're not getting to 1,000 with it.
No, we continue to see these. Now, there's a ton of videos out there, right, that are the good ones that we're following too close. They're just not that exciting to show. You know, we want to show you the ones that you catch yourself in every day, right? These are the ones that you just catch yourself in, And why we show you those on film is because when you find yourself in that situation, we want you out of it. We want you backing out of that situation to protect yourself. We want to make sure that you're protecting your company, protecting your own authority. Dale, we want to make sure you're protecting life.
That's right. We want you to see what it looks like so you can recognize it more in real time. I mean, you don't train for what you've done right. You train for the situations you got into that you find yourself all of a sudden, hey, I need to get out of this situation. What do I need to do it? So many times it's just take your foot off the accelerator and increase that space.
No doubt. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you again for this day you've given us. We thank you for just giving us the breath of life, for giving us one another, that friend, that family member, somebody in our lives to make life just a little better. Ask that you continue to be with us to help us make a better decision, a safer decision out there on the road. Man, we come across so many situations, and I shouldn't say our drivers out there on the road today, they come across so many situations that are dangerous, and they react so many times the best way. I'm so thankful for what you've done and giving them that ability to see and hear and follow what they see and make that decision. It's a few times a day we need your help. It's a few times a day that I ask that you put it on their hearts to know when they're in a bad situation and then give them that courage to act on it. Watch over us. Help us. Thank you. Be with the leaders of this world. Help us be the people we need to be all the time. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen. Everybody, we'll see you tomorrow morning. We may be on at 7. We may be on at 7:30. It's potluck again tomorrow morning on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.